By midday, 5 men lie dead on the grass. The 6th is a Roman. He has one. He does not know his sister is waiting at the gate. 669 BC, plain below Rome. Horatius fights for 3 brothers, and only one walks home. This is Roman nights. We go back. We listen. We stay a while. 40 years before this, a man in the town of Cures keeps saying no to a crown. 1. The house in Cures. The road to Cures runs north out of Rome. It is not a long road. It feels long to the men walking it. They are senators. 2 of them. 1 Roman, 1 Sabine. They walk in the gray light before the day has decided what it will be. They do not talk much. They have rehearsed the thing they came to say. A rehearsed thing dies a little every time you say it before its time. They carry an offer. It has no weight and it bends their backs anyway. They are going to offer a man a crown. They are not certain he will take it. They are less certain they want him to. A man eager for a crown is dangerous. A man who has to be begged is a different danger, slower, harder to name. They do not know yet which kind they are walking toward. The house at the end of the road is small. Stone below, timber above. A low wall, a few olive trees, a garden gone half to seed in one corner. Smoke from the roof. The ordinary morning of an ordinary man. A man kneels in the garden with his hands in the dirt. He is doing something to the roots of a plant that has not done well this year. He works without hurry. He does not look up when the shadows of strangers fall across the rows. His name is Numa Pompilius. He is a Sabine. He is near 40 years old. Rome wants him to be its king. He has already heard. News like this arrives before the men who carry it. He keeps his hands in the soil a moment longer than the work needs. It is the last private moment he will have for a very long time. Some part of him already knows it. Rome had a problem that year. It was the same problem it had the year before. The king was gone. Romulus had built the city out of nothing. He had drawn its first line in the dirt and killed his own brother over it. He had filled it with whatever men would come, the desperate and the landless and the running. He had taken wives for them by force when no neighbor would give a daughter to a town of thieves. The city should not have held. It held. That was Romulus. The city was him and he was the city, and no one could quite imagine the one without the other. Then one morning he was gone. He had been on the field by the marsh, reviewing the army, in the ordinary way. A storm came down over the hill, fast, the sky going the color of a bruise. When the rain cleared, the king's place was empty. The soldiers said the gods had taken him up. It was a good thing to say. It let a man look at an empty space and call it heaven instead of a hole. The senators said it more carefully. Some of them did not say it at all. There were 100 senators in Rome. Any one of them could have arranged a storm. None of them said so. The men who profit from a death are rarely the men who weep loudest at it. A rumor went around, the way rumors do, that the senators had cut the king apart in the dark, carried him out of the field a piece at a time, under their robes. No one could prove it. No one tried very hard. The city decided to believe in heaven, because heaven was easier to live next to. So for a year, Rome had no king. The senators ruled in turns. Each man held the power for 5 days and handed it to the next. They called it the interregnum. The word means the gap between 2 reigns, the space where no one is in charge. They spoke it as though it were a plan and not a void they were all standing around. The people had a shorter word for it. They said Rome now had 100 kings instead of 1. They did not mean it kindly. It worked more or less for a while. A thing can work for a while on the strength of what came before it. The roads stayed open. The markets ran. The priests kept the calendar. But underneath, the city was learning something about itself that it did not like. It was learning that it could not agree. The Romans wanted a Roman king. The Sabines, who had come into the city a generation back and become half of it, wanted a Sabine. Each turn of the 5 days, a senator from one side held the power. The other side counted the days until it ended. Nothing was decided because deciding meant one side losing, and neither side would lose. A city can live without a great many things, can go hungry for a season, can lose a war and survive it, cannot go long without someone to obey and someone to blame. Rome had neither. The forum filled, day after day, with men who agreed on nothing at all. They agreed only that this could not last. In the end, the senators made a bargain with themselves. Romulus had been a Roman. The next king would be a Sabine. The two peoples had fought once in the beginning and then become one city. This was the price of staying one city. The Romans would give the crown to a Sabine, and the Sabines would let the Romans choose which one. So the senators looked north to the Sabine towns. For a man, no faction in Rome had a reason to hate. They needed a name that the Romans could accept and the Sabines could be proud of. They needed a man with no army of his own. No sons hungry for a throne. No enemies waiting to be paid back. They found a name everyone offered and no one feared. A man in cures. He farmed his own land. He had married the daughter of a great Sabine, then buried her young, and after that he had not married again. He kept to himself. He read. He was said to be just in his dealings, careful in his speech and slow to anger. And there was one more thing, the thing they repeated most. He was said to speak with the gods. That part they liked best of all. A king who speaks with the gods is hard to murder. The gods take note of that sort of thing. A senator with a knife has to wonder whether they are watching. The two senators stand in the garden now and say what they came to say. They say it well. The honor of it. The need of the city. The peace he could bring to a place pulling itself in two. They have practiced, and the practice shows. Numa hears the practice under the words the way you hear the frame under a wall. He stands. He brushes the dirt from his knees. He listens to all of it without moving his face. Then he says no. He says it without heat. That is the first thing they notice about him. A man refusing a crown should be either frightened or coy, and he is neither. He simply gives his reasons, the way a man explains why a field will not take a certain crop. Romulus, he says, had ruled with a spear. The city was built for war, and it loved the man who made it that way. The Romans woke each morning expecting the next campaign the way other men expect the sunrise. He, Numa, knew nothing of war and wished to know nothing. He had no taste for it and no gift for it. A king like that, set over a city like that, would last a month, maybe less. Then they would all be back in the garden, 2 senators and a corpse, having wasted everyone's time. The senators have answers ready. They came knowing he would refuse. His own father is there. The old man speaks. A kinsman named Marcius speaks. They tell him the city has too much strength in it now and no hand to steer the strength. They tell him a man who can calm Rome would do more good than 10 men who can win battles. A war can be won by anyone with enough soldiers. A peace has to be built and built by someone. There is no one in Rome who can build it. Everyone in Rome is on one side or the other. Then Marcius says the thing that lands. He says the gods have already chosen. He says that to refuse the gift is not humility. It is its own kind of pride. To say no to a thing the gods are offering is to set your own judgment above theirs. Numa hears it land. He has spent his whole life arguing that the gods want order more than they want glory. That a quiet altar tended well is worth more than a loud one tended for show. It is the center of everything he believes. And now an old man in his garden is using it against him, turning his own faith around and pointing it at his chest. He is quiet for a moment. He is not a man who enjoys being right at the wrong time. He has just discovered that he is. He does not say yes. He is not ready to say yes. But he stops saying no. He tells them he will not take the crown from their hands. He will take it, if at all, from the gods. If the gods want this, he says, let the gods say so. He will go to Rome. He will stand where such things are decided. And he will do whatever the sky tells him to do, and not one thing more. It is, the senators realize on the walk back, a kind of yes. Careful one. A yes that puts the whole weight of the decision on heaven. So that no man can ever say Numa wanted it. That is the first thing Rome learns about its second king. Though it does not know yet that it has learned it. Numa does not want to be seen to want anything. There is a thing the senators do not see, standing in the garden. They see a famous just man being modest about a crown. They do not see the widower. Numa had a wife, the daughter of a great Sabine. He married her and he buried her young, and after that he did not marry again. The town knew the story the way towns know such things, in passing, without weight. To Numa it has all the weight there is. That is the real reason the garden is half wild in one corner. That is the real reason he keeps to himself. He reads. He tends his roots. He speaks more to the gods than to men. A house goes quiet when the person who filled it is gone. He has spent years learning to live inside that quiet. He has made a kind of peace with it. It is the only peace he has. Now 2 strangers have walked up his road to take it from him. So when he says no, he is not being modest. He means it with his whole body. He does not want Rome. He wants the small life he has left. The garden, the books, the cold mornings, the long habit of grief that has become almost a companion. A crown has no room in it for any of that. A king does not get to be quietly sad in a corner of his own garden. A king belongs to everyone all the time. Numa has only just learned how to belong to no one but his own dead. That is what they take from him in the end when they take him to the rock. Not just his quiet, his mourning, the one private thing he had left. They will give him a city to fill the whole. It is the wrong size. It is far too big. The wrong shape. It will never feel like the small warm thing he lost. But it is what the gods are handing him. And a man does not get to choose the shape of the thing that fills his grief. He only gets to decide whether he will tend it well or badly. Numa, being Numa, will tend it well. He will pour 43 years of careful love into a city. The one person he wanted to pour it into is under the ground. The love has to go somewhere. A city is what is in front of him. They take him down to Rome. They take him up to the citadel, the high rock above the forum, the arcs where the auspices are read. This is where Rome asks the gods their opinion. There is no higher court. A crowd gathers below in the forum. The whole city, it seems. They have heard there is a Sabine on the rock who may be king by nightfall. They have come to see the sky make up its mind. An augur leads Numa to a stone and seats him on it, facing south. The augur stands at his left hand. He lays a fold of cloth over Numa's head, covering his eyes. The cloth means the man being judged cannot see the signs. He cannot be accused of reading what he wants into them. The augur takes the staff in his right hand. It is curved at the top. A smooth hook of old would worn pale by other hands on other mornings like this one. He lifts it. Then he marks the sky. He draws a line across it with the staff from the east to the west, the path the sun takes. He draws another north to south, crossing the first. For regions now cut into the empty air. The right hand of the gods and the left, the near and the far. He fixes the field in his mind and holds it there. He prays. He names the city. He names the man on the stone. He asks that, if Rome is meant to have this man as its king, the signs be sent into the proper quarter of the sky. where a yes is a yes and cannot be mistaken for anything else. The forum below has gone quiet. A whole city holding one breath. Even the children have stopped. The only sound is the wind on the rock and, far down, the river doing the one thing it always does. Under the cloth, Numa waits. He cannot see. He can only listen and feel the cold of the stone come up through him. His own heart has slowed rather than quickened. He has wanted the gods to refuse him. He understands this only now in the dark under the cloth. He has come all this way hoping the sky will let him go home to his garden, his quiet, and the wife who is not there anymore. He waits to be released. The birds come from the right. The augur sees them first. Then the crowd sees them. A sound goes up from the forum, low and then loud. The sound of a city that has just been told it has a king. The augur lowers the staff. He lifts the cloth from Numa's head. The light comes back all at once, too bright after the dark. Numa blinks at the sky, at the birds already gone, at the city below turning its 100,000 faces up toward the rock to look at him. He is king of Rome now, not by the Senate's choice, not by his own, by the only authority Rome trusts more than itself. He will hold the office for 43 years. He does not know the number yet. Neither does Rome. What Rome knows this morning is that the birds flew right, that the strange quiet man from Cures, the one who said no twice, the one who came here hoping to be sent home, is somehow now theirs. He stands up from the stone. His knees still have garden dirt on them. No one has thought to brush it off, and he does not think of it either. So the second king of Rome is crowned with the soil of his own small farm still on him. It is the truest thing anyone will say about him all day. 2. The years of the closed gate. A king is supposed to begin with a war. That is how Romulus began. That is how the men of Rome expect every reign to begin. The way you expect a fire to begin with smoke. They wait for it. The army keeps its edge. The young men oil their shields and tell each other where Numa will strike first. Some say the Sabines, his own people, to prove he is no traitor. Some say the towns to the south. They are wrong about all of it. Numa does not begin with a war. He does not begin with anything tall. He builds no wall. He raises no army. He calls no muster. The men who waited for a second Romulus keep waiting, through the first month and the second. Slowly the waiting curdles into something else. Not anger yet. Confusion. A city built for one thing handed a king who wants to do another. What Numa builds instead is order. Quiet order, the kind you do not see until you go looking for the disorder it replaced. He starts with time. Romulus had counted 10 months in his year. He had let the cold weeks at the end fall into a gap, unnamed, uncounted, as though winter were a thing a man simply waited out rather than measured. It suited Romulus. A soldier does not need a calendar. A soldier needs a season for fighting and a season for resting, and the rest is weather. Numa adds 2 months at the front of the year. He gives the year its full 12. He fills in the gap that Romulus left. Names the first of the new months for a god who looks 2 ways at once. Backward at the old year and forward at the new. Sounds like a small thing. It is not. A man who can name the empty weeks can govern them. A people who count their days the same way begin, without noticing, to think of themselves as one people. Numa is building a city out of agreement, one quiet agreement at a time. The calendar is the first brick. Then he sorts the gods. He goes at it the way another king might organize an army. Every god gets a priest. Every priest gets a rule, and the rules are exact, and some of them are very strange. One priest may not ride a horse. One may not look upon an armed camp. One may not spend a single night outside his own bed. May not have a knot anywhere in his clothes. May not let his hair be cut by any but a free man. with a bronze blade, the cuttings buried under a lucky tree. The list goes on. It is full of small, impossible care. The rules sound mad. That is the point. A rule a man understands is a rule he will question. A rule he cannot understand, that comes down from somewhere older than reason, he simply obeys. In obeying it, he learns the shape of obedience itself. Numa is not teaching Rome about horses and knots. He is teaching Rome how to do a thing because it is the thing that is done. He gives the city its keepers of the flame, young women sworn for 30 years, who tend a fire in a round house that must never be allowed to go out. There is no great mystery to the fire. It is just a fire. But a city that lets its sacred flame die has admitted something about itself that it can never take back. So the fire is watched every hour of every night by a girl who knows that the whole city's luck rests on her not falling asleep. The fire makes them all responsible for each other. That is what it is for. When Numa walks through the forum, men lower their voices. They are not sure why they do it. He has never asked them to. He carries no guard, raises no hand, makes no show. He is not large. He is not loud. But there is something about a man who plainly does not want the thing he holds. It makes other men careful around him, as though his calm were a kind of judgment they were all somehow failing. He has a way of waiting before he answers. A question comes to him, and he lets a moment pass, one breath, two, before he speaks. At first the Romans take it for slowness. Then they understand it is the opposite. He is not slow. He is deciding whether the question deserves an answer and how much of one. The pause is the sound of a man who never says more than he means. At night he goes out alone. There is a grove beyond the walls near a gate, where a spring runs cold even in the deep of summer. Numa goes there in the dark, on foot, without companions. And the people of Rome come to believe, because he lets them believe it, that a goddess waits for him in that grove, that she comes to him by the cold water and gives him his laws, line by line, that this is the reason his laws are wise. Her name, they say, is Egeria. They say she loved him. They say that when his wife died, the goddess took her place, that everything good in his reign comes from those nights by the spring. Numa does not deny it. He never confirms it either. He simply goes out and comes back. The next day there is a new law, and the law is good. Here is the thing he has understood that Romulus never needed to understand. A law that comes from a tired man in a small house can be broken. Any man slightly less tired can break it. But a law that comes from a goddess is a different kind of thing. It is handed down by a cold spring in the dark. You do not argue with it. You do not weigh it against your own convenience. You obey it because of where it came from. Rome will not obey a man. Numa has seen this clearly. A man can be reasoned with, bargained with, outweighted, replaced. But Rome will obey a story about a man. So Numa gives them the story and lets them keep it, and never once tells them whether it is true. Whether he believes in the goddess himself is his own business. On the cold nights by the spring, with the water running over the stones and no one near, he keeps that business to himself. Perhaps there is a presence there. Perhaps there is only the water and the cold. A widower's need for a voice in the dark that is not his own. He does not say. A man who tells you everything he believes has nothing left to govern with. Near the foot of the Argiletum, where two ways meet, he raises a small temple. It is for the god who faces both directions. Janus, the god of doors, the god of the moment between one thing and the next, between the question and the answer, between the year that is ending and the one that has not started. The temple is plain. What matters is the gates. There are two of them, one at each end. They are set in a line. A man could in theory walk straight through the building and out the other side. They are bronze. They are made to be opened and shut. And Numa makes a custom out of them, the simplest custom in the world. When Rome is at war, the gates stand open. So the god of beginnings can ride out at the head of the army. When Rome is at peace, the gates are shut, and the god stays home. In all the years before Numa, the gates have never once been closed. Not once. There has always been a war somewhere. There has always been a road leading out of Rome with Romans on it, marching toward someone who had something Rome wanted or wanted something Rome had. The open gate is simply the normal condition of the world. No one has ever seen it any other way. On a morning in his first year, Numa goes to the temple himself to close them. He could send men. A king closes a gate the way a king does most things, by telling someone else to do it. Numa does not send men. He goes. The bronze is cold under his hands. It has the smell that bronze has. It is the smell of old coins and old blood. The two things bronze seems to remember best. He sets his palms flat against the gate and pushes. It is heavy. It has never been moved, and it does not want to move now. For a moment nothing happens, and he is an aging man leaning against a wall of metal. It would be easy to feel foolish. Then it gives. The hinge complains, a long low groan. Metal that has never bent learning to bend. The two halves of the gate swing slowly toward each other. They meet. The bar drops into its slot. The sound it makes is not loud. A single fall of metal onto metal. This city has spent its whole short life inside one constant noise. The ring of the forge. The tramp of the drill yard. The shout of the muster. The creak of the wagons going out and coming back heavier or lighter than they left. The open gate has a sound, and the sound is war, and Rome has never known any other. The shut gate has a different sound, which is no sound at all. For a moment, in the street, no one knows what to do with the silence. Men stand and look at the closed bronze as though it might open again on its own. A few of the very oldest, the ones whose grandfathers came over with the founder, understand what they are seeing and go quiet in a different way. Then the city goes back to work. That is what cities do. The forge starts up again. A wagon creaks past. The silence folds itself away into the ordinary day and is gone. But it happened. For the first time, the gates of Janus are shut, and the god is home. Rome is, by its own oldest measure, at peace. The peace holds. That is the strange and almost unbelievable part, the part the later Romans will tell and half disbelieve. The gates stay shut, not for a season, not for a year. They stay shut for as long as Numa lives, and Numa lives a long time. 43 years. A child born the morning the gates closed grows up inside the quiet. He learns to walk in it, learns his letters in it. He takes a wife in it, has children of his own in it. He becomes a grandfather. In all that time, he has never once heard the gates of Janus open, never seen the god ride out, never watched the army form on the field by the marsh and march away down a road. War, to him, is a thing his grandfather talks about, a loud old story from before the quiet. And here is what no one says out loud in those long good years. Some of them miss it, not the dying. No one misses the dying. But Rome was made for war the way a blade is made for cutting. A blade left in its sheath for 40 years does not feel grateful. Feels useless. The young men drill and there is no one to fight. They earn no glory because there is no glory to earn. They listen to the old men's loud old stories, and they look at their own quiet lives and they wonder, in a way they would not say even to each other, whether peace is the same thing as being asleep. Numa knows this. Of course he knows it. He has spent 43 years reading the city the way he once read a difficult field. He knows that the peace he built is a held breath, and that a held breath cannot be held forever. That somewhere out in the city the next breath is already gathering. He does not mind. He has done what he came to do. He took a city that could not agree on anything. He taught it to count its days the same way and tend the same fire and obey the same gods. He gave it 43 years to learn what it is like to not be at war. Whatever comes after, the city will at least know that the gate can close, that it is possible, that there is a sound on the other side of all that noise. He grows old by the cold spring. In the end, Numa dies the way he lived, quietly, in his own bed, of no cause that anyone can name, which is to say of being old. It is the cause we are all least willing to write down. He is not struck down. He is not poisoned. No storm takes him off a field. He simply, one night, does not wake, the way the lucky and the gentle sometimes do. They do not burn him in the manner of kings. They bury him whole under the hill across the river, the way he is said to have asked. With him they bury the books of his laws, the secret ones, the rights he claimed the goddess gave him. That last part will matter. Not now. Later. A king who comes after will go looking for those buried books. What he finds in them will help kill him. But that is a long way off, and no one at the graveside is thinking about it. For now there is only the new grave under the hill, and the grove by the cold spring going silent. A goddess, if there ever was one, with no one left to meet by the water. If Egeria wept, no one wrote it down. The gates of Janus stay shut a little while longer out of habit. The way a house stays quiet for a few days after the quiet man who lived in it is gone. Then Rome does the thing Rome always does. It begins to look around for the opposite of what it just had. 3. The open door. The man Rome finds is named Tullus Hostilius. His grandfather was a soldier, a man named Hostus Hostilius, who fell fighting under Romulus in the old wars, against the Sabines. In the days when the two peoples were still killing each other instead of sharing a city. The family has never let that be forgotten. There is a name on the family's tongue. The name belongs to a man who died with a spear in his hand, facing the enemy, the way the family believes a man ought to die. Tullus most of all. Tullus carries the grandfather around inside him like a coal that will not cool. He has spent his whole life inside Numa's peace. Every year of it. He was born into the quiet and he grew up in the quiet. He has never once heard the gates of Janus open. He hates the quiet the way a strong man hates a soft chair. A chair he has been told he must sit in for the rest of his life. He has a view about Numa. He does not hide it. He says it at table among the young men who think the way he thinks. He says it in a way meant to be repeated. Numa, he says, made Rome holy and made Rome soft, and those are not two things. They are one thing seen from two sides. A city spends 43 years learning to count its days and tend its fire and bow to its priests. At the end of it, the city has forgotten the only thing a city is actually for. A city is a thing that survives. And a thing survives by being stronger than the things that want to eat it. Numa wrapped Rome in ritual the way you wrap a sword in oiled cloth to keep the rust off. Then he left it in the cloth so long. The men holding it forgot it was a sword at all. The old priests do not love him for saying this. Tullus does not care. He is not speaking to the old priests. He is speaking to the young men with the oiled shields and the nothing to do. They hear him and they remember. Look at Tullus for a moment. The way the city looked at him. He is a big man, broad through the chest, heavy in the hands. He moves the way men move who have never once doubted the room would make space for them. When he laughs, it is loud. When he is angry, the anger comes fast and leaves fast, like weather. He is not a brooder. Numa brooded. Numa sat by a cold spring in the dark and turned things over. Tullus does not turn things over. He decides. Then he is already doing the thing he decided. He keeps his grandfather close. The way a man keeps a wound close. The old soldier who fell under Romulus. The spear, the enemy, the good clean death facing forward. Tullus was raised on that story. He was raised to believe a man is only the sum of what he dares, and that a city is the same, and that a city which dares nothing is already half dead and does not know it. So he looks at Numa's Rome and he sees a rich man's house with the shutters closed, full of careful servants, full of small rules about knots and horses, and which nights a priest may sleep in his own bed, safe, quiet, going soft in the dark behind the shutters. Tullus wants to throw the shutters open. He wants to let the weather back in. He thinks the weather is what a city is for. The old priests feel the change coming and they do not like it. They have run the city's soul for 43 years. They know the value of a closed door. But the young men do not listen to priests. The young men listen to Tullus. They were born after the gate closed. They have drilled their whole lives for a war that never came. They have shields their fathers oiled and handed down, and the shields have never taken a blow. A man wants, at least once, to be the story instead of the audience for it. Tullus is the first king in their lifetime who seems to understand that. So they love him before he has done anything at all. So when the crown is offered, the city is in a mood to give it to him. Rome has had its peaceful king. It is ready in the way a held breath is ready to be let out, for the other kind. Rome has a quarrel waiting for him. It always does. There is a thing that happens between Rome and Alba Longa. Alba is the older city, up in the hills, the mother city, the place Rome itself came out of. The line of Aeneas settled it. Romulus was born there or near it, depending on who tells the story. The two cities are bound by blood and by history. Like most things bound by blood and history, they cannot entirely stand each other. The trouble is small and constant. Farmers cross the line in the night. Cattle go missing in both directions. A Roman herd turns up thinner in the morning and an Alban herd turns up thinner the week after. Each city sends angry men to the other to demand their stolen cattle back. Each city tells the angry men to go home. This is not a reason for a war. It is the ordinary friction of two towns too close together. It happens every season. It has happened for 100 years, and it has never once been worth a war. What it needs to become a war is a man who wants the war to be there. Now it has won. And here is the part the young men with the shields never quite see about Tullus. The part that makes him more dangerous than they understand. They see a man who loves the spear. They think he is simple. They think war is to him what wine is to a drunk, a hunger he cannot help. They are wrong. Underneath the love of the spear is a much colder thing. Tullus does not just want a war. He wants a war that is clean. A war that Rome can stand behind. A war that the gods and the Senate and the city's own sense of itself will all agree was not Rome's fault. He wants the cattle quarrel, but he wants it arranged so that Alba is the one who refused to settle it. So he arranges it. Both cities, as always, send envoys to demand the stolen goods returned. Tullus knows the Alban envoys are coming. He sends his own toward Alba at the same time. Then he does something small and clever and entirely deliberate. He receives the Alban envoys first, and he is warm to them. He welcomes them. He feasts them. He is in no hurry at all. He gives them the hospitality a great king gives honored guests. He keeps them at his table, eating and drinking and being made much of. He does not let them get to the business they came for. Every time they reach for it, there is more wine, another course, another courtesy. A guest cannot make a demand of a host who will not stop being kind to him. Meanwhile, his own envoys reach Alba. They make Rome's demand plainly and at once. And the Alban king, not knowing the game, does what kings do with the other cities' demands. He refuses it. So the refusal comes back to Rome. The Alban envoys at Tullus' table have even raised the matter they were sent to raise. They are still wiping the grease from their hands, still thanking him for his hospitality. When the word arrives, Alba has refused Rome. Now it is on the record in the right order. Rome asked. Alba said no. Only then, with the Alban refusal already in hand, does Tullus let his guests speak. And when they finally make their demand, he can refuse it with a clean conscience and a clean record. Because Alba refused first. Rome did not start this. Everyone can see that Rome did not start this. Alba would not return what it took. Alba turned Rome away. Rome is not making a war. Rome is answering one. He has sold the war before a single spear is thrown. The senators call it just. They are not lying exactly. By the rules, by the order of who asked and who refused, it is just. That is what Tullus built. He built a war that follows the rules so closely. No one can point to the moment he decided to have it. Tullus himself does not call it anything. He does not need a word for it. He has the thing the word would describe, and the thing is enough. He needed the war to be lawful. Now it is lawful. He does not waste a name on it. And so, after 43 years, Rome musters for war. It is a strange thing to watch for the old ones. They have seen this before long ago when they were boys. The young ones have never seen it at all. The criers go through the streets. The lists are read aloud. The men come out with their fathers' shields and their own fear hidden under their eagerness. The smith fires that never quite went cold are banked up high again. The whole city begins to smell of hot metal and oiled leather. Wagons are mended. Grain is counted and loaded. Somewhere a woman sews a war cloak for a man who has never worn one in earnest. Her hands are not steady. She has only ever made such cloaks for show. There is a mood in it that is hard to name. It is not only fear. It is also a kind of relief, which is the shameful part, the part no one says out loud. The city has held still for 43 years. Now it is allowed to move. A held thing finally let go does not always weep. Sometimes it laughs, and hates itself a little for the laughing, and goes to war. There is one thing left to do before the army can march. The gate has to be opened. He goes to the temple at the foot of the Argiletum himself. The same gates Numa closed with his own hands 43 years before. On a morning no one alive remembers clearly anymore. The bronze has not moved in all that time. The bar has rusted into its slot. The hinges have seized. The gate has been shut so long that it has stopped being a gate at all. Become simply a wall that happens to have a seam down the middle. Men have walked past it their whole lives without thinking of it as a thing that opens. It takes work to free it. Men with iron bars and oil and shoulders set against the metal. They strain at it while Tullus watches. He does not help. He watches the way a man watches something he has wanted for a long time finally begin to give. The bar comes up. The hinges break loose, and the sound they make is terrible and wonderful depending on who is listening. A long, low, grinding complaint, metal remembering how to move after half a lifetime of stillness. The two halves of the gate swing apart. The whole street stops. Most of the men in it have never heard this sound before. They were born after the gate closed. They have grown up inside the silence Numa built. They do not have a memory to put this sound next to. They only know that something old and heavy has come open, that the air through the gate smells like the road, like dust and distance and the places a man goes when he leaves. A few of the very old ones do remember. They heard the gate close once when they were children. They have carried the memory of that silence for 43 years, and now they hear the silence end. They are the ones who do not smile. They stand a little apart and they look at the open bronze. They understand exactly what has come back into the world. The god of doors looks out at Rome again, both ways at once, the way he always does. Back at the city behind him, forward at the road ahead. He looks out the way he had been looking out for the whole long history of the place. before one quiet king put his hands on the bronze and made him stay home for a while. The god is not home now. The door is open. He is going out with the army the way he likes. Numa held the breath for 43 years. Tullus lets it out. For what the Looms know, the Alban army comes first. That is the way of it. When the war you arranged turns out to be a war the other side was also ready to have. Alba does not wait behind its walls. Alba marches down out of the hills, fast, before Rome has finished gathering itself. The man at the head of the Alban army is their king, a man named Cluilius. Cluilius is not a fool. He does not throw his men at the walls of Rome. He does something slower and harder to answer. He sets his army down on the land outside the city and he begins to dig. A trench. A great long ditch dug all the way around the Roman position, mile upon mile of turned earth, so that Rome is fenced inside its own fields. The idea is patience. He will not storm the city. He will sit on it. He will let the trench do what trenches do, which is to make a small space smaller, until the men inside it grow hungry and frightened, start to argue with each other about whose fault the hunger is. For years afterward, men will call it the Cluilian ditch and point to where it ran across the fields, a long-healed scar in the ground. Tell their children that a king of Alba dug it. Then Cluilius dies, not in battle, not by any Roman hand. He dies in his own tent, in the night of nothing anyone can name. One evening he is the king who has fenced Rome inside its own land. The next morning he is a body and a problem. An army can lose its king to a quiet death in the night. After that, it begins to wonder what its gods think of it. There is no glory in it, no enemy to blame, no story to tell. Just a tent gone silent and a great trench half dug. No one whose job it is to say what happens next. The Albans need a leader, fast, and there is no time for the slow business of choosing a king. So they do what people do when the proper way will take too long. They appoint a man to hold all the power for the length of the crisis and then give it back. A dictator in the old clean sense of the word, before the word learned its later teeth. The man they choose is named Medius Fuficius. Medius is careful. That is the first thing to know about him and very nearly the last. He is the sort of man who does not ask how to win, not even when handed an army, a war, and a dead king's half-finished plan. He asks what it will cost and whether the cost is worth the prize, whether there is a way to get the prize for less. He stands on the line where the two armies will meet and he looks at them. What he sees is not an enemy. What he sees is a price he does not want to pay. He thinks it through the way he thinks everything through. The Albans and the Romans are the same people. Not almost. The same. Same gods. Same speech near enough. Same blood a few generations back before the one city became two. If these two armies close and grind each other down, what will be left? At the end of the day is two ruined towns full of widows. The men who did the ruining will be cousins who killed cousins over stolen cattle. And there is the other thing, the thing Medius cannot stop seeing. All around them, in the hills and along the coast, the Etruscans are watching. The Etruscans are stronger than either Rome or Alba. They would be very glad to see the two of them bleed each other thin. Then the Etruscans could walk down into the valley and take the whole thing. The cattle and the fields and the cities. From two peoples too weakened to stop them. Medius does not want to win this war if winning it means losing everything to a third party. Never had to draw a sword. A careful man counts past the battle in front of him. He counts the battle after, against the enemy who is only watching now. So the two armies draw up close enough that the leaders can speak across the gap. Medius asks to talk, and Tullus, who built this war so carefully, comes out to hear him. Medius makes his case well. Why should two brothers butcher each other? He asks. while a stranger waits in the hills to inherit them both. The quarrel can be settled without emptying both cities into the ground. There is an older way, a way the gods accept. He has a proposal. Let the war be decided by a few men instead of all of them. Let each city put forward champions. Let the two armies stand and watch under oath, bound by treaty. Whichever city's champions win, the other city obeys. One field, one afternoon, both cities kept whole. Both peoples kept strong enough to face whatever comes down out of the hills next. Tullus thinks about it. This is the strange turn, the one that tells you most about Tullus. He wanted this war. He built it out of stolen cattle and a delayed dinner. He opened the gates of Janus with men straining at the rusted bronze. And now a careful Alban is offering him a way to make the whole thing small. To decide it with a handful of men on an afternoon. Tullus, who loves the spear, looks at the offer and sees the sense in it. A war that follows the rules. A victory the gods will sign. Alba bound to obey without Rome having to empty itself to make it happen. It is, in its way, exactly the kind of clean win Tullus has wanted all along. The careful man and the clever one have arrived, for once, at the same answer from opposite directions. He agrees. Then the gods, or chance, which the Romans have trouble telling apart. Arrange a thing so neat that it can only be a sign or a cruelty. Maybe both. It happens that there are, in each army, 3 brothers born at a single birth. Triplets. A thing rare enough that men remember the families it happens to. In the Roman ranks, 3 of the Horatii. In the Alban ranks, 3 of the Curiatii. The same age, near enough. Born, the old people say, almost in the same season. On the 2 sides of a line that was not yet a border. It is too clean to refuse. 3 against 3 matched like for age for age. The whole valley will say the gods themselves laid it out. So it is decided. The Horatii will fight for Rome. The Curiatii will fight for Alba. The armies will stand and watch. In the bodies of 6 young men, the gods will show which city they prefer. That is the public story. The clean one. 3 matched pairs and a watching sky. There is a private story underneath it, and the private story is where the real wound is. The 2 families are not strangers. The cities are too close for that. There have been marriages back and forth between Rome and Alba for as long as either has stood. Because that is what cousins do, they marry, it knits the 2 halves together. And there is a marriage waiting to happen right now between these 2 families. Between the very houses that have just been chosen to kill each other. One of the Horatii has a sister. Her name is Horatia, and she is promised to one of the Curiatii. The wedding was set for after the harvest. She is at home, behind the Roman walls, while the men decide the shape of the war. Horatia is young, not a child, old enough to be promised. Old enough to have spent the last year learning the particular face of the man she is going to marry. The way you learn a face you will be looking at for the rest of your life. She likes him. That is the part no one will think to ask about later, when they are deciding whether her grief was treason. She was promised to him for reasons of family and land and the knitting together of 2 towns. Somewhere in the middle of all those reasons she came to like him. To look forward to him. It is more than many women get out of a marriage arranged before they were asked. She has been making him a cloak. A war cloak, good wool, dyed and woven with her own hands. The kind of thing a woman makes for the man she is binding her life to. It is meant for the wedding or near it. It is meant for a long and ordinary future. For cold mornings and journeys and the small daily proof that someone took the time to keep you warm. She is at the loom when the news of the champions reaches the house. She hears it the way the women hear everything secondhand, through the wall. From the mouths of men who are not thinking about her when they say it. 3 Horatii chosen. 3 Curiatii against them. 3 against 3 on the field tomorrow. Her brothers, and the man she is going to marry, on the same field, pointed at each other. She does not say anything. There is no one to say it to who could change it. She sits at the loom with the half-made cloak in front of her. She does the arithmetic that she will not be able to stop doing for the rest of her short life. If her brothers win, her betrothed is dead. If her betrothed wins, her brothers are dead. There is no version of tomorrow in which she does not lose. The treaty has arranged it so that whatever the gods decide, she is on the losing side. She has been quietly handed a war in which she cannot win, and no one consulted her. No one will think to count her among the casualties when it is over. This is the thing the men forget, the thing the clean story leaves out. They matched the families like for like, age for age, and they were proud of how neat it was. They did not look one step further. To the daughter promised across the line, to the loom in the back room, to the cloak that was being woven for a wedding and is now being woven for nothing at all. She does not finish the cloak that night. She cannot make her hands do it, but she does not put it away either. She leaves it on the loom, half a garment, hanging there in the dark. She sits with it the way you sit with someone who is dying. Think about the 6 of them that last night. The 3 Horatii on the Roman side. The 3 Curiatii on the Alban. They are not strangers to each other. That is the part that makes it unbearable. They have known each other their whole lives. The 2 towns are too close for it to be otherwise. They have stood at the same festivals. They have raced and wrestled at the same games, the way young men do in the years when the cities were not fighting. One of the Curiatii is going to marry a Horatius sister. He has sat at the Roman table. He has been looked over and approved. He has begun, already, to call these men brother in the way a man does before a wedding binds it. And now they are 6 matched animals penned for a show, 3 and 3. Chosen because the gods, or chance, made 2 sets of triplets on 2 sides of a line. The valley thinks it is a marvel. The 6 of them know it is something else. They are going to have to kill the men they grew up beside. And the ones who live will have to carry the ones they killed for the rest of their lives. None of them sleeps much. A man does not sleep the night before a thing like this. He lies near the fire and he listens to the breathing of the brothers he may lose by noon. He thinks about the men across the valley, at the other fires, who are lying awake thinking about him. He tries to make the other men into enemies, into something he can hate enough to kill. He cannot quite do it. He knows their faces too well. He knows the sound of their laughing. That is the cruelty of a war between cousins. You cannot even give yourself the comfort of hating the man you have to kill. One of the Horatii, the youngest, lies awake longest. He does not know yet that he is the one who will live. He does not know about the long road home or the gate or his sister. He does not know about the sword and what it will do. He knows only that he is afraid, and that he must not show it, and that somewhere across the dark, behind the other fires, a man lies awake being afraid of him. A man he has known since they were boys. Out beyond the walls, the 2 camps lie close enough that each can see the other's fires. The same valley, the same night, the same stars over both. From the Roman wall a watcher could look out and not be able to tell. From the lights alone, which fires were friends and which were the men who would be dead by tomorrow's noon. Her betrothed is at one of those fires. He has a war cloak with him, an older one, a plain one, because the good one she was making is still on her loom, unfinished, and will never reach him now. He will go out tomorrow in the plain cloak and he will die in it. That small fact will not leave her, that he died in the wrong cloak, in a cloak she did not make. It is one of the things she cannot forgive the world for. Later, when the time comes to be unforgiving, she does not know yet that it will be one of her brothers who does it. She will know by tomorrow's evening. So will everyone. For tonight there is only the loom and the half a cloak and the 2 fields of fires. A young woman doing arithmetic that will not come out, no matter how many times she turns it. No matter how long she sits, no matter what she would give to make it come out any other way. 5, 3 against 3. Morning. The field between the 2 camps. Comes the way the worst mornings always come. It is to say, it comes exactly on time, no faster and no slower than any other. The sun gets up over the hills. The mist lifts off the wet ground. The valley fills with a gray light that has no opinion about what is going to happen in it. The 2 armies come out and form up on either side of the open ground. They do not come to fight. That is the thing a man has to keep telling himself, looking at them. Thousands of armed men on each side, shields up, spears grounded. Not one of them will lift a hand today. They have come to watch. They have come to be the witnesses, so that whatever the gods decide will have been seen by everyone. Cannot be argued with afterward. They leave a space in the middle. It is not large. A man could cross it at a walk in the time it takes to say a short prayer. 6 men are going to cross it. Some of them are not going to cross back. The priests do the thing that has to be done first, the thing that turns a killing into a contract. There is an oath. A pig is brought, and a priest stands over it with the flint knife. He says the words that bind the 2 cities to the outcome. He calls the gods to witness. He asks, whichever people first breaks the terms of this day be struck the way he is about to strike the animal. Then he strikes it. It is not a clean ceremony. The blood is real. The animal does not understand its part and has to be held. But when it is done, the thing is sealed. Whatever the 6 men do now, the gods are bound to it. The cities are bound to it. There is no taking it back after this. The treaty is no longer words. It is meat on the ground and a promise in the air. Everyone on both sides has watched it be made. The Horatii come out from the Roman line. 3 brothers. The same face 3 times, the way it is with triplets, so that the eye keeps trying to make them one man and failing. They have their father's build, heavy through the shoulders, and their father's silence. They do not look back at the army behind them. Looking back is for men who think there is somewhere to go. These 3 have understood that there is only forward now. Only the open ground and the 3 men walking onto the other end of it. The Horatii come out from the Alban line. 3 more, the same age. Men these Romans have known their whole lives. From the festivals and the markets and the long quiet years when the 2 towns were not at war. One of them was at a Roman table not so long ago, being looked over by a Roman family, because he is going to marry a Roman girl after the harvest. Was going to. The tenses have gone strange this morning. No one is sure anymore which ones to use. The ground between the 2 sets of brothers is wet from the night. The grass holds the cold. There is the smell of trodden earth and oiled iron. Under both of those, the particular smell men give off when they are afraid, working hard not to show it. A sharp animal smell. It is exactly the same on both sides of the open ground. Fear does not care which city you are from. It does not check your accent. It comes up out of all 6 of them in the same way. If you closed your eyes, you could not tell the Roman fear from the Alban. The Roman who is going to live through this is the youngest of the 3 Horatii. Though no one knows that yet, least of all him. He is thinking about nothing useful. That is what no one tells you about the moment before. You expect the mind to fill with something large, a prayer, a memory, the faces of the people you love. Instead it fills with small stupid things. The wet of the grass through a worn place in his sandal. A fly. The way the man across from him is holding his shield a little high. The way he always held it high since they were boys, since before any of this. A trumpet. The 6 men close. It is not like the songs. There is no shouting. The songs are full of shouting, of war cries and the names of gods. But the real thing is almost quiet, and the quiet is the worst part. There is the short, ugly noise of metal finding metal. Under it, now and then, a different noise, metal finding flesh. A man learns to tell those two sounds apart fast, or he does not learn anything else ever again. The first Roman goes down early. A Curiatius takes him under the arm, where the shield does not reach, in the soft place that armor never quite covers. The Roman sits down in the wet grass. He sits the way a tired man sits, all at once, his legs simply deciding they are done. He does not get up. He does not cry out. That is the part no one tells you. How quiet it is at the end. You go your whole life thinking dying men scream, because that is what they do in the songs. Then you stand on a field. Watch a man you grew up with sit down in the grass and stop, without a word, as though he has remembered an appointment somewhere very far away. The second Roman falls a moment later. The same way, quick, almost polite, as though the two of them had agreed not to make a fuss. 2 Horatii dead in the time it takes to draw a dozen breaths. The Roman army makes a sound, all of it at once, a low sound with no words in it. The sound 1,000 men make when their stomachs drop together. They have lost. Everyone on the field can see they have lost. 2 of the 3 Romans are in the grass and the third is alone, 1 man against 3. The math of it is plain to every soldier watching, because every soldier watching has done that math about himself at some point and knows how it ends. But the 3 Curiatii are all hurt. That is the thing the low groaning Roman army has not seen yet, from where they stand. Not one of the Albans is dead, but not one of them is whole either. All 3 are cut. All 3 are bleeding. All 3 are slowed, each in his own way, by his own wound. The fight that killed 2 Horatii did not come free. And the third Horatius, the last one, the youngest, is untouched. Not a scratch on him. He has been quick and he has been lucky. Luck is a thing no one can plan but everyone needs. This morning, for whatever reason the gods keep to themselves, the luck is his. He is whole and fast and alone against 3 men who are none of those things. He does the only thing left to a man alone against 3. He runs. The Alban army roars. To them it looks like the end. The last Roman breaking, fleeing the field, the war as good as won. The 3 Curiatii go after him, because of course they do. Because a fleeing enemy is a gift and you do not refuse a gift from the gods. And here is the thing about 3 wounded men chasing 1 whole one. They do not run at the same speed. 1 wound is in the leg and that man falls behind at once, his whole stride gone wrong. 1 wound is in the side and that man can run. But every breath costs him, and the cost adds up over distance. And one of them is barely slowed at all, and he pulls ahead of his brothers without meaning to, because his body still works and theirs do not. So they spread out as they chase. A long ragged string of 3, strung across the field by their own blood. Each man running as fast as his particular wound will let him. It is 3 different speeds, which means 3 different men arriving at 3 different times. That is what Horatius is counting on. That is why he ran. Not panic. Not the end. A plan made in the half-second. He understood he could not beat 3 men at once. But he might beat 1 man 3 times. He stops. He turns. The first Curiatius, the one barely hurt, the fast one, is far ahead of his brothers now. He has outrun them in his eagerness. He arrives alone. It is not a fight. It is a killing. The Roman is fresh and the Alban is winded from the chase. A fresh man against a winded one is not a contest. It is an execution that both parties have agreed to attend. Takes only a moment. The first Curiatius goes down in the grass, and the field tilts. Somewhere behind Horatius the Roman army begins, very quietly, to understand. Horatius does not wait to feel anything about it. There is no time, and there will not be time for the rest of his life. Though he does not know that yet. There is only the next one. The second Curiatius comes up. The one cut in the side. He is breathing in great ragged pulls, his hand pressed to the wound. He has just watched his brother die in the grass ahead of him. Something goes out of him before the Roman even reaches him. You can see it go. A man who has already lost, somewhere inside, before the blow lands, is an easy man to kill. Horatius kills him. 2. The third comes last. The one hurt worst, the one with the ruined leg. He does not run anymore. He cannot. He half walks, half drags himself across the open ground. The whole field is watching now, both armies, and there is nothing left to watch but this. One ruined man, crossing the grass toward the man who has just killed both of his brothers. He comes because the treaty says he must, because the gods are bound to it, because there is nowhere else on the whole earth for him to go. Behind him is an army that cannot help him without breaking the oath and bringing the sky down on Alba. In front of him is Horatius. There is no third direction. He gets his sword up. It is the best he can do. It is the best a man can do, who has watched his brothers die and knows he is next and walks forward anyway. Walking forward is the only thing left that is his to choose. Horatius kills him too. 3. The Roman army does not roar. Not at first. There is a moment, a held strange moment, when the whole field cannot believe what it has just seen. 2 cities watched the same 6 men. The count went from 2 against none, the worst way, the lost way, to 3 against none, the other way, the one way. It took the space of a few hundred heartbeats. The gods reversed the whole war while everyone was still groaning about how it had ended. Then Rome remembers how to make noise. Comes up out of the Roman line all at once. A wall of sound. The relief and the disbelief and the savage joy of men who were dead a minute ago and are now, somehow, the winners of everything. Horatius stands in the middle of the field. 5 men lie around him in the wet grass. 2 of them his brothers. 3 of them men he has known his whole life. Men from the festivals and the markets and the long quiet years. One of them was going to marry his sister after the harvest. He is breathing. He is the only one of the 6 who is still breathing. He has won the war. He has won it alone, with his own hands, the way the morning promised someone would. It has cost him both his brothers. It has taken about as long as a meal. He cannot feel the victory. He has noticed this distantly, the way you notice weather. The army is screaming his name and he is standing in a field of bodies. He feels nothing he can put a word to, only a kind of high, clean, ringing emptiness. Underneath the emptiness, already, the counting has begun. 1, 2, 3. The 3 he killed. He cannot stop it. He does not yet know that he never will. He bends down and begins to gather the spoils. That is the custom. The winner strips the dead. He takes the cloaks and the weapons and the ornaments off the men he has killed. He carries them home. They are proof and they are honor, and they are the right of the man who lived. He works without hurrying. His hands have stopped shaking, if they ever started. He moves from body to body in the wet grass, methodical, the way his father taught him, and he does not look any of the dead in the face, because that is not a thing the custom requires, and it is not a thing he is able to do. He picks up one cloak in particular. It is a plain one, an older one, good wool but nothing special. He does not look at it twice. He folds it over his arm with the others. He does not think about the man who wore it, or about the better cloak that man never received. The one still hanging half-made on a loom behind the Roman walls. Why would he? It is just a cloak. He folds it with the rest and moves to the next body. The Alban army stands and watches a Roman strip their dead. They have lost. The treaty holds them. They will obey Rome now, all of them, the whole city up in the hills. That was the deal, and the gods are bound to it. Not one Alban hand will move to stop a Roman from taking the cloak off a dead Alban's back. Because to move that hand would be to break the oath. Call down everything the priest promised over the pig at dawn. Medius Fuficius watches too. He keeps his face very still. He is good at that. But behind the still face he is already doing the only thing he truly knows how to do. He is counting prices. He looks at the field of bodies and the screaming Roman line and the silent Alban one. He is not thinking about glory or grief. He is thinking about what this costs and what it buys. Whether there might still be, somewhere down the road, a way to get out from under the bill. That is for later. For now there is only the field and the cloaks and the long walk back to the city. Back to where a young woman is standing at a gate, in a crowd watching the road. Looking for the people she loves the way you look before you know. She has not heard yet. She is about to. The walk back is not long, and the news travels with the army. By the time the dust of it reaches the Capine gate, she will already have begun, without quite letting herself know it to understand. 6. The sisters beam. Horatia does not sleep the night before. She sits with the half-made cloak and she does the arithmetic that will not come out. Somewhere toward morning she stops doing it. Not because she has solved it, but because the mind cannot hold the same impossible sum forever. It lets go. She dozes a little, sitting up, and dreams of nothing she will remember. Wakes when the light comes gray through the door. The day of the duel she cannot stay in the house. The women are supposed to wait inside. That is the custom on a day like this. The men go out to the field or the wall. The women stay behind the walls and tend the fires and wait to be told. Horatia cannot do it. She cannot sit in a room and wait for a runner to come. Tell her which half of her life is over. So she goes out with the rest of the city that cannot bear to wait either. She stands near the Capine gate. On the road, the army will come back along. She watches the dust at the far end of it for the first sign. She tries not to hope. Hoping is dangerous today, because every hope she has is also a grief. If she hopes for her brothers, she is hoping her betrothed is dead. If she hopes for her betrothed, she is hoping her brothers are dead. There is no clean thing left to want. So she tries to want nothing, to stand at the gate emptied out, a woman-shaped hole in the crowd. She finds that she cannot do that either. The wanting comes anyway. It just has nowhere to land. Then the dust at the end of the road thickens, and the crowd around her changes. The way a crowd changes when it sees the thing it has been waiting for. The word comes back down the road ahead of the army, past mouth to mouth, faster than the men can march. Rome has won. The duel is won. Alba bows to Rome. The Horatii have done it. The people around her break into noise. The great glad noise of a city that has just learned it will not be conquered after all. Horatia stands inside the noise and feels it go through her like cold water. Because Rome has won, which means her brothers have won, which means she does not finish the thought. She does not have to. The road finishes it for her. The army comes up the road in the gold light of late afternoon. Dust hangs in the air, kicked up by all those feet, and the dust catches the low sun. The whole road seems to glow, and the people are shouting one name over and over. Her brother's name, only one. She understands the shape of it before she understands the fact. One name, not three. One brother walking at the head of the army where three should be. The crowd is too glad to hear the silence in it, but Horatia hears the silence. Because the silence is the size of her family. She looks for her brothers, all three. The way you look for the people you love in a crowd before you know. She finds one. She makes herself keep looking past him into the column for the other two. She does not find them, and the not finding goes into her slowly, like cold into the bone. Then she sees the cloak. It is over her brother's arm with the other spoils, with the weapons and the ornaments of the men he killed. Plain cloak, good wool. She knows it. Of course she knows it. She did not make this one. This is the old plain one he wore because the good one was still on her loom. But she knows it the way you know the clothes of a man you have been learning by heart. The way you know the set of his shoulders and the things he carries. She understands everything in a single moment. Where her betrothed is, why her brother is carrying his cloak, why 2 of her 3 brothers are not in this army. The whole impossible sum she could not make come out all night comes out now, all at once. In the worst possible form, in the form of a plain cloak over a brother's arm in the gold light. She had hoped for nothing, and the nothing has arrived, and it is so much heavier than she knew. She does not scream. That is the thing they will get wrong about her afterward, the men who decide what her grief meant. They will speak as though she made a scene, as though she shrieked and tore at herself and shamed the city's triumph on purpose. She does none of it. She lets her hair down, the way the women do for the dead, a quiet thing, a thing her hands do almost without her, and she says his name, the name of the Alban, the enemy, the man her brother killed an hour ago on the field. She says it out loud, once, in the middle of Rome's victory, with the whole road singing the wrong name around her. It is not a speech. It is not defiance. It is the sound a person makes when a future is taken away. The future they had been living toward, gone in the space of an afternoon. It is the smallest possible mourning. She could not have held it in if her life depended on it, which, though she does not know it, it does. Horatius hears it. He has just killed 3 men. He has watched 2 brothers die. He has carried the dead all the way back to the city. His arms went numb under the weight of their cloaks. He has held himself together the only way he knows, by counting. The count has been the one thing keeping him upright through the screaming and the dust and the road. And now his own blood, his sister, is standing at the gate weeping the name of an enemy, at the very top of his triumph. The one name in the world he cannot bear to hear. Something in him that was already stretched far past its limit simply goes. He draws the sword, the same sword, the one that did the counting. He runs her through with it there in the road in front of the city, in the gold light, with the dust still glowing around them both. He says something as he does it. The words are about her, and about what should happen to any Roman woman who weeps for an enemy. He believes the words completely in the moment he says them. That is the thing about the words a man finds at a moment like that. They arrive already true. He does not reason his way to them. They are simply there, fully formed. Exactly the size of the thing he needs to be true so. What he is doing can be something other than what it is. Men always believe the thing they say in the instant they need it to be true. The believing is what the saying is for. Then it is done. She is in the dust. The singing has stopped. The gold light is the same gold light, indifferent, falling on the road and the army and the brother and the sister, on the living and the newly dead. The way light falls on everything without choosing. He stands over her. He does not feel like a man who has done a monstrous thing. That is the part he will never be able to explain. Not to the court, not to his father, not to himself in 40 years of nights. It did not feel like murder. It felt like the last item on a list. The 3 he killed on the field, the 2 brothers he lost. Now this, the last weight set down, the count finally, terribly, complete. He feels something almost like relief, and the relief is the most monstrous thing of all. He will not understand that for a long time. By then it will be far too late to do anything with the understanding. Rome does not know what to do with him. An hour ago he was the man who saved the city. Now he is a man who killed his sister in the public road. Both things are true. They happened on the same afternoon to the same man with the same sword. The city cannot hold both of them in its hands at once and cannot put either of them down. The king will not judge it himself. Tullus wanted this war and he wanted this victory, and he has them. He does not want to be the man who hangs the winner on the day of the win. So he does what powerful men do with a thing they do not want to hold in their own hands. He sets up a court. 2 men, appointed to try the case so that whatever verdict comes belongs to them and not to the king. The charge is the old heavy one. Not murder, treason, an offense against the city itself, against the order of the thing. To kill in the street like that is to overstep. In front of everyone, you put your hand where only the city's hand belongs. The penalty is written down and it is ugly. Bind his hands, veil his head, hang him from the barren tree, scourge him. The 2 judges look at the law. Then they look at the man who won the war this morning. Then they find him guilty because the law gives them nowhere else to stand. The law does not care that he won the war. The law was not on the field. The law only knows what happened at the gate. Then Horatius does the thing that will outlast him. The thing that will matter long after the girl in the dust is forgotten. He appeals, not to the king, to the people. He throws the verdict over the judges' heads, out into the crowd, and asks the whole city to decide. It is the first time anyone in Rome has done this. It will not be the last. A man condemned by the law, reaching past the law to the people themselves, asking the crowd to overrule the court. Rome will build a great deal on this small desperate act. Centuries of it. The right of a Roman to appeal, to put his life in the hands of his fellow citizens rather than a magistrate's sentence, starts here in the blood and the dust, invented on the spot by a man trying to save his own neck. Rome will remember the right and forget the girl who made it necessary. That is how these things go. His father speaks for him. The old man, he has lost 2 sons today on the field and a daughter in the road. He has 1 child left, and that last child is now on trial for his life. He stands in front of the people and he says the thing a father should never be able to say. He says his daughter was justly killed. He says that if she had not been, he would have punished his son himself. By a father's own right, with his own hand. He points to the spoils, the arms of 3 dead enemies that his son still carries. He asks the people whether they can really take the last of his children from him. Today, after everything today has already taken, the people cannot do it. They acquit him, not because his cause is just. Everyone standing in that crowd knows it is not just. It knows a girl is dead in the road for the crime of grieving. It knows that if you set the killing beside the law is right. They acquit him anyway. They cannot bear to kill the man who won the war, not on the day he won it. Not with his old father weeping in front of them and 3 dead enemies' cloaks hanging from his shoulders. Admiration does the work that justice could not do. The crowd looks at a hero and a murderer standing in the same body and decides. Because deciding the other way is unbearable, to keep the hero and look away from the rest. But the city has watched a girl killed in its own main road. A thing like that does not simply wash out. The gods saw it too, and the gods keep their own books. So there is an expiation. There are rites and a sacrifice. And one strange small ceremony that the city will keep for a very long time after. They lay a beam across the street. Just a beam, a length of timber, set up over the road like the crossbar of a yoke. And Horatius, the victor, the man the people would not kill, covers his head and passes under it, bowed, the way a man passes under a yoke when he has been beaten and made to submit. The conqueror of Alba, made to stoop in his own city, under a piece of wood, to be cleansed of his sister's blood. He goes under the beam and comes out the other side clean. in the eyes of the law and the gods of what he did at the gate. The beam stays up, for years, for longer than anyone who saw the killing stays alive. Rome keeps it in repair at public cost, replaces the timber when it rots, maintains it carefully, this small monument over a public road. They call it the Sisters' Beam, and after a while no one passing under it remembers exactly whose sister, or why, or what it was that needed cleansing. It becomes a landmark, a place you tell someone to meet you. Children walk under it on the way to nothing in particular. That is how a city carries a thing it cannot fix. It builds a small monument to it, keeps the monument and lets the meaning wear off the monument, until the thing that was unbearable is just a beam over a street. The girl is just a word in the name. The name does not even bring her face up anymore in the minds of the people who say it. Horatius lives. He won the war. The arithmetic never does balance. Not the 3 on the field, and not the 2 brothers, and not the 1 at the gate. He stops trying to make it balance, eventually. Most men do. You cannot carry a sum like that your whole life and keep doing it out loud. So he puts it down somewhere in some back room of himself and he goes on. He becomes an old man with a famous name and a thing under it that he does not look at. When he passes the beam, as he must sometimes on the way to somewhere, he does not look up. 7. The hill. Alba belongs to Rome now. That was the deal. 6 men decided it on a field. The gods were bound to it by the pig and the priest and the oath, and the treaty held. Alba keeps its city. It keeps its name and its gods and its hills. But when Rome marches, Alba marches behind it. Alba's men are Rome's men now, to be called up and spent as Rome sees fit. That is what it means to lose a war you agreed to settle with 3 men. You do not lose your walls. You lose your will. You become a thing that is moved rather than a thing that moves. Medius Fuficius leads the Albans still. Tullus has left him in place. There is a logic to it. The Albans will follow a man they know. A defeated people are easier to manage through their own familiar leader, through a Roman set over them like a collar. So Medius keeps his title. He bends the knee to Tullus. He tells himself the arrangement is survivable, that a careful man can live under almost anything if he keeps his head down and keeps counting. But something happened to Medius on the day of the duel. He watched a Roman walk among Alban dead and strip the cloaks from their backs. The whole Alban army stood and let him, because the oath said they must. He watched his people made to witness their own helplessness, and a careful man watching that does not feel grief exactly. He feels the bill arriving. He had hoped to settle the war cheaply with 6 men instead of 6,000, and he had. The cheapness has turned out to have a price of its own, a slow one, paid in the faces of his people every time a Roman gives them an order. He begins to think he made a bad trade. He begins, very quietly, behind the still face, to look for a way out of it. He did not set out to betray anyone. That is the truth of it, and it is the saddest part. He set out always only to survive, to keep his people whole, to pay the smallest bill the situation would accept. He talked Tullus out of a great battle and into a small one. 6 men instead of 6,000. He was proud of that. He had a right to be. By his own arithmetic, he had saved a whole generation of Albans from the grass. But arithmetic has a way of presenting a second bill. Later, a bill the first one hid. Medius saved the bodies and lost the thing the bodies were for. He kept his people alive and watched them become servants. Every season there is a Roman levy. Every season Alban men march off to die in Roman quarrels, on Roman roads, for a victory that will be called Roman when it is won. He reads it in their faces when they come home thinner. He put them under this. He, the careful one with his clever small war. So a thought begins in him. The way rot begins in good wood. From the inside where no one can see it. The thought is simple. The arrangement is wrong. Should be undone. And a man who has spent his life avoiding the large brave act will reach for the large cowardly one. If you press him long enough, he cannot fight Rome. He has proven that. But perhaps he does not have to fight it. Perhaps he only has to stand aside at the right moment. To let someone else do the fighting. To be standing on the right patch of grass when the dust clears. That is the shape of it climbing in him all the way to Fidini. He tells himself it is wisdom. It is the same wisdom that has guided him from the start. Spend nothing. Risk nothing. Wait and watch and choose late. It worked on the field of the six. It will work again. A careful man trusts the thing that has worked before. Even when the thing that has worked before is the very thing about to destroy him. The way out comes, the way these things come, dressed as the next war. 2 towns up the river, Fidini and Veii, decide that Rome has grown too fast and reach for their swords. It is the old story, the one the valley keeps telling. A city gets strong, and its neighbors get frightened, and the fright becomes a war. Tullus calls up his army, and he calls up Alba's army too, because Alba's army is his now. Medius brings the Albans down out of the hills to fight a war that is not theirs. For a master who beat them, the 2 sides draw up on the field. Romans and Albans together on one wing, the men of Fidini and Veii across from them. The lines begin to move. Then, as they close, Medius does the thing he has been preparing for. He has been preparing it since the afternoon he watched a Roman strip 3 dead Albans on an open field. He leaves. He pulls the Albans back. Not forward into the fight where they are supposed to go. Back and to the side up the slope toward the high ground, where a man can stand and watch a battle without being in it. He does not declare for the enemy. He does not declare for anyone. That is the whole genius of it and the whole cowardice. He has decided not to decide. He will take his men up the hill and he will watch and he will see who is winning. When he is sure, he will come down on the winning side. Either way, the Albans will have spent no blood. Either way, Medius will be a friend to whoever is left standing. It is the most careful thing a careful man can do. It is also the lowest. Medius has found a way to be on the winning side of every outcome. He does it by being on no side at all. He is rather proud of it, climbing the hill. He has not thought carefully enough for once about the one person on the field who is cleverer than he is. Tullus sees the whole Alban wing peel away and start up the slope. He knows exactly what it means. He has spent his whole reign reading men. A man does not have to be a genius to read this. An entire wing of his own army, walking off the field in the middle of a battle. And his Romans see it too, and that is the danger, the real and immediate danger. Because a Roman who looks left and sees half his line abandoning him is a Roman about to break. Panic runs through an army faster than any enemy. The battle could be lost in the next minute, not to Fidini, not to Veii, but to the simple sight of friends leaving. Tullus does not break. He does the thing that tells you, finally and completely, what kind of man he is. He raises his voice so the whole field can hear it, both sides, friend and enemy. And he shouts that the Albans are moving on his command, that he ordered Medius to take them up and around to the high ground, to come down on the enemy's rear and crush them between 2 forces. It is a lie. He builds it in a single breath out of nothing, the way he once built a war out of stolen cattle and a delayed dinner. A whole false plan, complete and convincing, invented in the half-second between seeing the betrayal and needing an answer to it. And it works because it has to, because Tullus shouts it like a man stating a fact rather than a man saving his life. His Romans hear it and steady. Of course, the line is not collapsing, the line is maneuvering, it was all arranged, the king has a plan. They face front again and they fight. And the enemy hears it too, which is the part Tullus understood and they did not. The men of Fidini and Vi look up at the Albans climbing the hill. Where a moment ago they saw a Roman ally deserting, now they see. Because Tullus has told them to see it, a second Roman force moving to take them from behind. A force you cannot account for is far worse than one you can see. The enemy fights the rest of the battle with one eye on the slope. They are waiting for a blow that Tullus has only invented. The waiting takes the edge off everything they do, and that, in the end, is enough. Rome wins. Tullus wins it with a lie shouted across a battlefield. It is its own kind of weapon, the lie, and it is not one Numa ever owned. Numa governed with stories too, with a goddess by a spring. But Numa's stories were slow and gentle and built things. Tullus' story is fast and sharp, and it is built to do one thing in one moment. It does it. Two men, two ways of using a thing that is not quite true. The valley will spend a long time deciding which it prefers. After the battle, Tullus calls the whole army to assemble. Romans and Albans together. The Albans come down off their hill, and they come because they have been ordered to. Because Medius has told them the gamble paid off. He has told them that Tullus took the maneuver on the hill for loyalty. That the king believes the Albans were moving on his command, just as he shouted. That no one will ever know they were not. Medius is pleased with himself. He thinks he has gotten away with it. He does not understand that Tullus heard the lie he himself had shouted. He does not understand that Tullus knows it was a lie. It knows precisely what the Albans were doing on that hill. Means now to answer the truth underneath it. Tullus has Medius brought forward. He says what Medius did. He says it plainly in front of the men who followed Medius up the slope, so that they hear their own act named. He does not rage. He does not need to. He lays the betrayal out the way a man reads a list. The Albans stand and listen and understand, slowly, what is about to happen. Understand also that there is nothing they can do, because they are surrounded by Romans, and because the man being accused is guilty. They all know he is guilty because they were on the hill with him. Then Tullus has 2 chariots brought, and a team harnessed to each, and Medius bound between them. An arm and a leg to each side, stretched between the 2 cars, face up, in the dirt. In front of the army he tried to keep alive by spending no one. The chariots are driven in opposite directions. It does not take long. The body is not made to be in 2 places, and the horses are strong. The thing the horses do is the thing horses do without malice. Without understanding, simply pulling because they have been told to pull. Tullus tells the army that the body teaches a lesson the living should learn. Keep faith or end like this. He does not say it cruelly. He says it the way he says everything that matters to him. The way a man states a fact he has known for a long time. Medius wanted to be on the winning side without paying for it. Now he is a part of the winning side's argument, scattered across the dirt as the day's instruction. In a way, he has gotten exactly what he wanted. He is on the winning side. He is useful to Rome at last. It is the only use Rome ever finds for him, and it is the only good he ever does it. He does it without meaning to, which is the truest thing about him. It is the first time Rome kills a man this way. It was also nearly the last. There are some things that sit so far past the edge that doing them once is enough. You do the thing and you watch it done. The city learns, in the watching, that it would rather not be the kind of city that does this. Not out of mercy, out of something colder and more useful than mercy. A recognition. Rome learns from Medius what it does not want to become. Puts the chariots away, and it does not bring them out again. And that is the single thing the careful man on the hill left the world. The one thing in the long account worth leaving. He showed Rome the bottom of a thing so that Rome would know not to go there twice. 8. The weight of Alba. Then Tullus deals with Alba itself. The city is the mother of Rome. The line of Aeneas settled it, after Troy fell, when the survivors came west looking for a place to be a people again. Romulus came out of it or out of its line, depending on who is telling the story. It is older than Rome and prouder. It has just been led into treachery against its daughter by the very man it trusted to lead it. A lesser king might have let it stand, chastened. Tullus is not a lesser king. He has just had a man torn apart by horses to make a point about faith. He is not in a mood to be merciful to the city that broke it. He does not leave Alba standing. He sends horsemen ahead, up into the hills to the city. The Albans are given almost no time. They are told to leave, to take what a family can carry on its back and in its arms and on a cart, to come down to Rome, to live there now because there will be no Alba to live in by nightfall. Behind the people, the Roman army goes through the city and pulls it down. The houses, the walls, the work of 400 years. The slow accumulation of a place where people were born and married and buried, made flat in a single day. Only the temples are left standing. Even Tullus will not pull a roof down over a god. The gods of Alba keep their houses. The people lose theirs. The Albans walk down the hill to Rome in a long line. It is one of the oldest pictures there is. The valley has seen it before and will see it again many times. A whole people on a road carrying what it can carry. A man with a chest on his shoulder. A woman with a child on her hip and a pot in her free hand. An old one, too slow, helped along by the young. Tools. A few animals. The small particular things a family decides in the hour it is given are the things it cannot leave behind. The strange grief later of realizing what it left. Behind them their city comes apart with a sound like a long exhale. Dust where the roofs were. The strange openness of a place that has always had walls and now has none. The sky too big over it, the wind going straight through where rooms used to be. A man near the back of the line keeps turning around to look. He cannot help it. He turns and looks and walks a few steps and turns again. Then there is a moment when he turns and there is nothing left to turn around for. Only dust and the bare hill and the temples standing alone among the wreckage like teeth in an empty jaw. So he stops turning. He faces Rome down the road and he keeps walking. Because the only other choice is to stand still on an empty hill, and that is no choice at all. Rome takes them all in. The city nearly doubles in a single day. The Albans are given a hill of their own to settle, the Celian. They build again because that is what people do. Within a single generation, no one can tell an Alban grandchild from a Roman one. The accent goes. The grievance goes. The grandchildren are simply Romans, living on a hill with a family story about coming down from somewhere that used to be a city. And Tullus does one more thing. The thing that shows he is cleverer than the old soldiers with the oiled shields ever gave him credit for. He takes the leading families of dead Alba and he makes them Roman nobles. He does not grind them down. He lifts them up. He brings the great Alban houses into the Senate of Rome. He gives them place and honor. He makes them fathers of the city that destroyed their own. The Julii, the Servilii, the Quinctii, the Giganii, the Cloelii, even the Curiatii, the house that lost 3 sons on the field. He sits the enemy down among the rulers, and by doing it he turns bitterness into gratitude. It turns men who might have nursed the loss of Alba into citizens. Men with a stake in the success of Rome. It is the thing Rome will do again and again, for the next 1,000 years, better than any city has ever done it. It will conquer a people and then make them part of itself, until the conquered cannot remember why they ever fought, until being Roman is worth more to them than whatever they were before. It starts here, in the dust of a broken hill, with a clever warlike king who understood. The surest way to end an enemy is to make him a citizen. One of those names is the Julie. They are one house among several, walking down the hill with the rest, carrying what they can carry. They have a story about themselves the way old families do. They claim a long descent all the way back to the founders of Alba. To Ulysses, the son of the line that came out of burning Troy, the line of Aeneas. The line that is said to run back through a goddess into heaven itself. It is the kind of claim every proud old family makes. No one can check and no one much bothers to. The name comes down the hill from Alba in the dust. One family among many. It means nothing today. It is a name on a list of new citizens. In a year so old it is barely a year at all. In a small city in a small valley that most of the world has never heard of. 700 years from now it will mean the whole world. A man of this name will hold the entire Roman world in his hand. Another after him will be called a god. The name will be stamped on coins from the cold north to the deserts of the south. None of that is visible today. There is no sign on the family. Nothing to mark it out from the Servilii or the Cloelii walking the same road. It is just a tired house carrying its things down a hill, with a story about Troy that no one believes and no one disproves. No one alive has any reason to know what the name will become, least of all the family carrying it. Tullus is king for 32 years. He spends them the way he wanted to spend them. The gates of Janus open, the army on the road, war and the settling of war and more war. He scorned Numa's peace. He got everything he asked for instead. Every year of it, the full loud campaigning life. He should be the answer to the question this whole story keeps circling. Which kings does Rome keep, and which does it kill, and what is the difference between them? He should be the one who got it right. But the gods keep their own accounts, and they are slow. They do not settle them on a schedule a man can plan around. Late in his reign, a plague comes to Rome. It does not care how many wars a man has won. Comes into the city quietly, the way the worst things do. It takes people in their houses without a battle. Without an enemy a man can charge or a hill a man can take. The same quiet dying the Curiatii did on the field, except now it is everywhere, in every street. There is no Horatius to end it, no clever maneuver. No lie that can be shouted across it to make it falter. And for the first time in his life, Tullus is afraid of a thing he cannot fight. He has spent his whole reign with a weapon in his hand and an enemy in front of him. Now the enemy is in the air, in the water, in the breath of his own people. The spear is useless, and the courage is useless. The cleverness that built a war out of stolen cattle is useless. He cannot lie to a plague. He cannot draw it into an ambush. It does not look up at an empty hill and lose its nerve. So the man who laughed at Numa's religion turns to it. He goes looking, in the dead king's buried writings, for a right. Something old and powerful, a way to call the gods down and make them listen. The kind of secret that Numa was said to have. The kind of thing the goddess by the spring might have given him. He finds one, a secret sacrifice, a way of drawing Jupiter himself to earth, to ask the great god directly for relief. He performs it. He gets it wrong. Some small thing, a word out of place, a gesture in the wrong order, an omission. The kind of exact small care that Numa built his whole reign out of, that Tullus never once bothered to learn. Because care was for soft kings, and he was not a soft king. Now, sick and frightened in a wooden room, he is trying to do in an afternoon what the other man spent a lifetime understanding. The story says Jupiter came down, not as a help, as a bolt of lightning that struck the king's house and burned it, with Tullus inside it, to ash. The great god, summoned wrongly, answered the summons in his own way. What was left of the war king and his house was not enough to bury. That is one way to tell it. The careful men, the ones who count, the spiritual grandchildren of Medius Fuficius, tell it another way. They say a king grown sick and frightened performed a rite he did not understand. In a wooden house, in a storm, and lightning does what lightning does to wooden houses in storms. A man who has spent his life despising the gods should not have gone looking for them. Not in the worst weather of the year. Both tellings end the same. Tullus is gone. The house is ash. And down at the foot of the Argiletum, the gates of Janus still stand open. The way he left them, the way they will mostly stay for a very long time to come. Rome has had 2 kings now since the founder. One closed the gates and kept them closed for 43 years, and tended his fires. Walked through his forum while men lowered their voices. Died old and gentle in his own bed of nothing but years. One threw the gates open and filled the time with war and won everything he reached for. Died in a single white flash that left nothing for the grave. The city does not choose between them. That is the thing about Rome that takes the longest to learn. That this whole long night has been about. Rome does not want the peaceful king or the warlike one. It wants both. Keeps both close. The way the god at the foot of the Argiletum keeps both his faces on the one head. One face looking back, at where the city came from, at the founder and the fires and the long quiet. One face looking forward, down the open road. At all the wars it has not fought yet, and all the cities it has not yet made into citizens. The peaceful king built the thing that holds Rome together. The warlike king built the thing that makes Rome grow. Rome will need both again and again. It will go on producing both the gentle ones and the hard ones. Turn and turn about for as long as it lasts. It buried Numa whole and gentle. It could not find enough of Tullus to bury, and it kept them both, because it was already, even this early, even now, the kind of place that needs 2 faces and refuses to be ashamed of it. The gates stand open in the dark at the foot of the Argiletum. It has a great many roads left. Writers note, I do not read Numa as a lawgiver. A lawgiver wants the law. Numa wanted his garden, and a quiet town, and a wife who was already dead. He said no twice. The crown found him anyway. I watch a man hold power for 43 years and spend all of it trying to make power quiet. He closed a door with his own hands. He could not think of anything better to do with a whole city. The other one opened it and got everything he asked for, and the sky came down on him. I am not sure the gods preferred either man. I think they only wanted to watch the door move. Next time, the road from the north, cart in the dust, a woman watching the birds the way her people taught her to.